All right, everyone, it's time to have that conversation. You know, you've got an elderly relative, they're like in their mid 80s or something, and they're starting to show some negative signs with regards to their mental state, certainly their physical state. You know, you have to have that sad conversation in the most literal sense. We got to talk about Ruth Ginsburg because I think she's definitely gotten to that point. Dude, she gives an interview not long ago on the topic of the Kavanaugh committee, sort of the meetings with regards to it and how they've turned into a freak show. And trust me, with regards to her basic point, some people don't understand. Ginsburg is called far, far left basically because of guns and abortion more than anything else. But when you actually listen to her talking about something like this, like legalism, she's not. She's actually, relatively even-handed. And she's talking about the Kavanaugh appointment and how this is not supposed to be the way in which the confirmation process operates. I fully agree with her. The fact that the judicial branch is devolving away from what it was before, which is supposedly not a partisan entity, into an entity that is crafted in a deliberately partisan manner with whoever holds sway at the time stacking the court, I see that as one of the greatest dangers to our republic. It's right up there with tech censorship. It really is that dangerous because the judicial branch is the one stopgap we have left, hopefully, and again, it doesn't always work, but it is there, against hyperpartisan authoritarianism. It doesn't need to come from the left as it is currently for the most part. It can come from the right. We saw that in the Bush era, coming from a bunch of evangelocons. The problem is never the fact that an authoritarian force is the majority. It's always that the majority on one side or the other in a dichotomous system, again, false dichotomy, will wine and dine the authoritarians as a wedge issue to get votes and to keep power and to try to prevent them from becoming the majority in some cases if you want to look at it benevolently. That's really the threat. And that's what we see now. The neoliberals know better than to wine and dine the social justice warrior torch-waving mobs, but they're doing it anyway out of a sense of false political expediency. But Ginsburg can barely hold her head up. Literally, when she's sitting there, she's like this. She can't look up. She can barely lift her hands. She can barely string a sentence together, despite the fact that her mental faculties, for her age at least, appear to be okay. Physically speaking, how much longer is this woman going to live? She's had, I believe, several heart attacks. Hasn't she had as well? She's had cancer. I believe she's had a stroke. She has other problems as well. She's in her mid-80s. I think she's 85 now. How much longer do you think she will be alive? Even more troublesome is this. Say she lives another 10 years. Is she going to be of sound mind? I would like a Supreme Court that's filled with people who are mentally aware. Kennedy's retiring. He's only 80. He's 5 years younger than Ginsburg is. He's retiring, and in part, it's due to his age. He's like, wow, I don't have much time left. I want to spend it with my family, number one. And number two, hey, I don't really trust myself to make proper decisions at this point. I'm geriatric. I'm fucking elderly. What else do you need to know? That's the truth. Now, for politically expedient reasons, I would recommend she wait until after the midterms. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. If Ginsburg were to retire now, and I think she needs to retire quickly, because she's obviously not with it enough to be serving as a justice on the Supreme Court. Think what you will. You can lionize her and think she's the greatest thing the left ever had. Okay, wonderful person. There comes a time at which you have to say, there's nothing more we can do. The fact that Trump's in office doesn't matter. Regardless of who wins the Senate, the Democrats gain it back, the Republicans gain it, she needs to retire. She's no longer competent to make the proper decisions she needs to make as a Supreme Court justice. This would be the same, by the way, if she, and I'm not a Republican or a conservative. It's not because, well, Trump can finally replace that far leftist. No, I'd be slightly concerned because it might mean there would be a challenge to something like Roe v. Wade. Right now, I doubt that would happen. I happen to be pro-choice. I happen to be in favor of gay rights, so it make me a little nervous. Make me happy on guns, however. Yeah, you should have all the gun cases should go forth the second she leaves. That's a good thing, at least. Be better if we didn't have a partisan court. It'd be better if we had a court made up of 9 minarchists. I think the government would be considerably more constrained at that point. The problem being, of course, people who like limited government, are they really going to get confirmed by a body that wants to continuously grow government as the Senate inevitably will? Yeah, probably not so much, unfortunately. one weakness perhaps of the judiciary. Maybe we should have some sort of litmus test for who can vote and who can't based on their track record of voting. I'm just joking. It'd be funny though. But Ginsburg is clearly too old to hold that. And I would be hesitant to make a guess that she's got any better than 50-50 chance of making it through the next couple of years. At the rate she's declining. Look, it's self-evident. A couple months ago, she's falling asleep. I think at the beginning of 2016, she's like falling asleep. Now she can barely hold her head up even when she's not falling asleep. And she was like back then blaming drunkenness. I doubt it. I think it's just at the time she was 83, or she 82 and about to turn 83. And, you get old. How many people make it to 85 and they're still in a mental capacity where they should be making decisions that affect hundreds of millions of people and indeed possibly the world? I don't think that that's very common. No, I just don't. What, are you gonna stuff her and keep her in the corner like a mummy because you can't find anyone who's a suitable replacement? But, here's the big but. The problem is this. In our current political climate, she'd probably have to be replaced by someone who's ideologically on the right. It could cause major problems. Social alienation on the left. Let's say the Democrats don't regain the Senate, and there's a pretty good chance that happens. There's a pretty good chance they don't regain the Senate. The Senate map still heavily favors Republicans. They're screaming about Beto O'Rourke. I think the polling there is questionable, in all honesty, or Florida. I think the Republicans may gain a couple of seats in the Senate. I still believe that's likely. If Trump, therefore, gets, a third nominee, it's going to socially alienate so many people on the left. It's going to begin to cause, I think, social stress in this country that turns into violence. My earnest desire would be in such a situation, she should be replaced by someone who's center left. Maybe not far left Ginsburg on guns. Get a very, very staunchly pro-gun blue dog center leftist and put them on the Supreme Court. That way you appease your core fans for the most part without having any major judicial battles over moral issues that will tilt the court heavily to the right. If that can be accomplished, it'd be great. The problem then will be getting some of the Republicans to vote for the person. Because the Democrats right now, it's clear, every single one of them is likely to vote against Kavanaugh, including people who ideologically don't really have a problem with him. That is, that they agree with him on most things, but they're going to have to put on a show because we've devolved to that level. And keep in mind who is responsible for this. It's not the Republicans. The Republicans didn't change the Senate rules. They were changed in 2013 by Senate Democrats led by Chuck Schumer in order to allow Kagan to be appointed. They changed the rules before, I think it was you had to have 60 votes to confirm a SCOTUS nominee. That is, that it had to be more substantial than just, it's 50-50. Hey, come here, Vice President, whatever party you're in. You couldn't simply have a simple majority where one senator tips the balance as it does now. They did this to elect Kagan, not realizing that there was a good possibility that the Republicans would take over in the future. I don't think that they expected that to happen. I think that at that time, they already expected that they were going to be able to cheat Hillary Clinton into the White House, and that therefore it wouldn't matter. And that after a term or two of Hillary, the Republicans would be so crushed under, they'd basically have their dystopian nightmare of socialism. I honestly think that that's basically what they had in mind, which is, it's never going to happen, but yeah, maybe in the fever dreams of the black-pilled Republican minority. Meanwhile, in reality land, those of us who were actually thinking warned the Democrats at the time, hey, even if Kagan's okay to you, this is not a good idea because the Republicans probably take back the White House, probably gain the Senate. At the very least, if you end up with a split between the two, you'll never fill the Supreme Court slots. So Ginsburg dies off and you've still got 5 conservative justices, and now you've only got 3 liberals on the court. Well, it's still going to get everything passed. It's not like the SCOTUS stops functioning. It keeps functioning. It's just that Ginsburg's gone. I think next up is Breyer, I think isn't he like 80 or 81 or something? I know that several of the justices are quite old. I know that there are several in their 70s. The rest are in their 50s and 60s for the most part. So they'll be on the bench for the next decade or two at least, probably. But yeah, we've got real problems over SCOTUS right now, and Ginsburg is the main problem because she can barely talk. How the fuck is she supposed to make major judicial decisions when she can't even pick her head up? That's not. You should be of sound mind and body if you're in any government position, because people are paying you to represent something. She's obviously being paid to sleep through their meetings at this point. That's about all. Peace out.